So I was working for a private security company and they paid me 2,000 lempira every 2 weeks. And I started at 9 a.m. in the morning and ended at 10 at night. And it took me 2 hours by bicycle to get there from my community in Bajamar. The gangs saw my uniform and thought I had money, and they demanded I pay them a tax, but the money didn't stretch. They threatened me, putting notes under my door. One day, while riding my bicycle from work, I was attacked by 3 men. One had a knife, and he went straight for my heart, and when I lifted my arm to protect myself, he hit me right here. That knocked me down, and once I was on the ground, he stabbed me in the leg. I don't know how I arrived at the health center in my village, covered in blood. It was a 2-hour bike ride. But I knew if I went to the local hospital, the gangs would find me. That's the way they always do. But we didn't feel safe in Honduras anymore. When my children were growing up, we knew we had to get out. Like if I were to ask you one thing, it would be this. Pack your suitcase and leave and live in the country that that person is from. Live there, work there, and then you'll see. And when you come back to the United States, come talk to me and I'll ask you, do you want to build a wall that goes from your conscience all the way to heaven? It took us a month and 15 days to get to the border. We begged all along the way, asking for help, food, money. We took a lot of buses. The saddest thing that happened was when we got to Puebla. My mother passed away, and I couldn't see her one last time. I couldn't go back to bury her. This is a day I will never forget. With that pain in my soul, I continued on my journey. The scariest thing that we went through is that when we crossed the river, my wife and my oldest son were walking in front, and I was behind holding baby Jesus up because the water came up to here. And thankfully, my wife took Mateo by the hand because the current was so strong that he could have drowned. These are the things you try to forget but can't. It's always in your heart. When we got to the U.S., immigration picked us up right away. They asked us questions like, why did you come to the U.S.? Were we threatened? I was so traumatized that I almost couldn't answer. They asked me if I was afraid of being deported back to Honduras, and I said, if you deport me, it will be the last time anyone ever sees me again. There was no room at the detention center, so they gave us ankle monitors to know where we were at all times. I thought, this is something for someone who's a criminal. I've never been in jail in my life. And when the battery runs out, it says, batería baja, recargo su unida. Sometimes my son would bring me the battery, papi, papi. The monitor is saying, at any moment, we can find you, grab you, and send you back to your country. I spent so much time and energy focusing on it. I lost so much weight that my pants went down to a 28. I don't desire this for anyone. Once on the train to Queens, it started to talk. I believe people thought it was a telephone. When I lifted my pants to change the battery, there was a woman sitting next to me, and she got up and moved away. It's a horrible feeling to see people scatter like we were criminals. It's humiliating and undignified. My caseworker was Latina, blanquita, bajita, y un poquito gordita. She called me and said I missed my home visit and I had to go to the office. I asked her, she asked, why weren't you home? I said, if you change the date of my appointment, you need to tell me. She said, I can do whatever I want with you. I can send you back to your fucking country right now. From now on, you have to come every week instead of once a month. And here's your card. And she threw the card at me. And I had really red eyes because this was my dignity that she was throwing on the floor. There was no way to keep up with work missing a day every week. And they fired me. The moment of glory arrived almost 2 years of monitoring. I saw the light through the darkness. The supervisor called and said that the father from the sanctuary had permission to remove my ankle monitor, that our country was in a situation with the pandemic and all check-ins were going to be done by phone. He said, I know you're an active member of the congregation and they do good work for the community. The volunteers from the sanctuary have very humble hearts. They treat me with such love. Here they are. I'm working in sheetrock now, and I've gained some weight. My sons aren't spending so much time looking at my feet in that way. Even my kids have gained weight too. The first thing I'm gonna do when the pandemic is over is get married. Camila and I aren't legally married, even though we have the rings. I also want to get my work permit. I'm still trying to put some money together to pay for it. For me, this country is first world, a country of dreams, of opportunities. If God is willing, we never leave here. And when God calls us, we are buried here and here to stay.